Good evening. If we could tonight, I'd like to call the Tazewell County Board to order.
Hey, well, I still got it, right?
I was warned a few times that I need to speak louder, so forgive me if I'm too loud this time, but Nancy and a few others have told me to speak up. So, Mr. Ackerman, if you could please call the roll.
Thank you. Mr. Crawford?
Here.
Goddard?
Here.
Graff? Hall?
Here.
Harris?
Here.
Hopkins?
Here.
Josting?
Here.
Longfellow?
Here.
Mennel?
Here.
Milam?
Here.
Mingus?
Here.
Nelms?
Here.
Phillips?
Here.
Frail?
Here.
Rich Simpson?
Here.
Schmidtall?
Here.
Schneider? Sen?
Here.
Stahl?
Here.
Stump?
Here.
Woodrow?
Here.
Chairman Grimm?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We may rise for invocation and pledge. Mr. Hall, would you please have the invocation for us?
Sure. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you humbly tonight as we do the work of the people, Father. We just pray that you would give us wisdom and knowledge and understanding to work well together. We thank you for all those who work in this community. And we just thank you for living in a country of such abundance. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. All right. Item number C, communications from member of the public and county employees. It looks like we have Mr. Helfers would like to speak tonight to us tonight. Yes, sir. If you would please come up, state your name, address, and
My name is Marty Helfers. I live at 1221 Veterans Drive, beautiful Pekin, Illinois. I've attended a couple of meetings over the last month. April 1st, I went to the ZBA. April 8th, I attended the land use meeting. I had some concerns about a proposed community scale solar project going on across the street. And so my concerns were, number one, you know, is that going to cause me to lose value of my property, which I think all of us would ask that question, right? Number two, I retired executive director West Central Illinois Building Construction Trades Council. I represent 17,000 union members, 15 trades across 13 counties in West Central Illinois. My job was to get our contractors in front of developers to put local people to work. That's what I did for many years. Retired in 16. So, long story short, if I can do that, I seen they were applying for 2 SUPs, 5 each. CEJA, which is the Climate Employment Jobs Act, which is legislation that was passed several years ago by the state of Illinois, which is really incentivizes people to build these types of projects. And part of that in the act says that prevailing wage will be paid. Number 2, anything over 10 megawatt will have a project labor agreement, which ensures local labor and typically local contracts, which is good for everybody sitting in this room. And so when I seen that, I thought, what are they trying to do? But in my ignorance, I'd only dealt with utility scale. They are community scale. They are required by the CEJA Act to build nothing no larger than 5 megawatt, which is not under the auspices of the PLA. It still requires prevailing wage, but not a PLA. And so I was wrong to assert that possibly they were seeking 2 5 megawatt SUPs to circumvent that law, but in reality they were following law. I was wrong, and I apologize for that. Second thing, I was concerned about, you know, losing the value of my home. The biggest investment most of us is making our lives or the home we live in. You know, we're going to pass it on to our kids. We're going to create wealth through home ownership. That's the American dream. So I seen that thing, and I found numerous studies that said that, you know, there's potential for loss. And through the course of that, after the second meeting I attended, I received a call from Mr. Paul Irby, the representative for Dimension Energy. And we had a long conversation. We emailed back and forth, and actually he alleviated my concerns on that. He's on my property. It's the far western part. It's not, my house is 900 feet from the project, but it's not directly in front of the project. So I don't feel I'm going to have a big loss in value because of them building the project. Now, I'm a retired pipe fitter as well as former executive director of the building trades. Duck Creek closed, Edwards Station closed, 1,001 megawatt generation capacity, those two powerhouses. They powered Central Illinois for many years. I worked many hours in those two power stations. They're gone. It's projects such as this that is going to keep our lights on in this area. So I strongly support it. My wife strongly supports it, and I hope you see fit to pass it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Is there any other communications from members of the public, or county employees? All right, we had on here a presentation from Shannon Saul, who I believe is sick and will not be doing it tonight, so probably moved on to next month. So next, moving on to D, communications from elected and appointed county officials. All right, then, Amy and Stacy, would you please come up?
Good evening, and thank you for asking us to come and tell you a little bit about the health department. I'm Amy Fox. I'm the administrator of Tazewell County Health Department, and
I'm Stacy Ely. I'm the assistant administrator at the health department.
so we're going to tag team this presentation for you today. So Stacy is going to start off telling you a little bit about the organization overall.
All right, thank you very much. The first thing I want to do is highlight the mission, vision, and values of TCHD. It is our mission to promote and protect the public's health and well-being. And with that, our vision is that the Tazewell County Health Department will be a state leader and partner serving the community through innovative public health practices to meet the current and future needs of the individual and the environment, with the ultimate goal of inspiring and attaining overall wellness. Our vision, our values are also listed below. I'm not going to go into each one as far as like the descriptor, but I will highlight the key words of our values, which are service, quality, accountability, integrity, collaboration, innovation, and respect. And what is interesting is I know that Chairman Grimm recently led the county through a strategic plan process. And when those documents came out for review and we were reading through them, we found that 3 of our values are the same. So that was really kind of cool to see, and I wanted to take a minute to highlight that here tonight. The Tazewell County Health Department is an accredited health department. We are accredited by the Public Health Public Health Accreditation Board, which is commonly known as FAB. We are one of only 10 county health departments in Illinois that are accredited, and being accredited brings a lot of great things to our community. Number 1 is quality improvement. All of accredited health departments really have advanced performance management measures and quality improvement. At TCHD, we have a culture of quality. Performance management and quality improvement is embedded in all of the work that we do amongst all of our divisions that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Also, being accredited helps with workforce development. It really helps identify the gaps in training and professional development that our staff need to perform at a quality level for our community. So we've seen a lot of improvements since becoming accredited in there. And it also ensures that we provide evidence-based program and services. So all of the programs we offer are sounded in root theory as well as in data. Like there's a reason we go out and do the programs that we do here in the community. And lastly, it shows accountability to our stakeholders. So it shows that we are striving to perform at the highest quality level we can. TCHD has been accredited since 2015. So we are right now in like a reaccreditation certificate that will be up in 2027. So we will be proceeding with moving forward and continuing our accreditation for sure. The next slide really takes a look at TCHD's organizational chart, which you all have as a handout in front of you. Currently, TCHD, now that we have 2 locations, our staff is spread out a little bit more than they were in the past, but we have 61 staff at our Tremont location. We have 16 staff at our Pekin office. Opening up dental services in the future will add an additional 6 to 7 staff there at that Pekin location. And then we have 25 to 35 staff that work off-site in our school-based programs within the schools throughout the community. So on average, our given payroll is about 110 employees that are accounted for. If you take a look at your organizational chart that you all have in front of you, you will see that at the very top we have the Board of Health, which TCHD is a referendum health department that Amy's going to speak more to later. And then below that we have Amy and myself, and then we have our medical advisors. We do have medical advisors that guide the work that we do in the areas of clinical health. And then also we have the Office of Planning. So the Office of Planning is a really unique division because the individuals that work there in the positions, they work across all divisions of the health department. So that's where you're gonna find like your epidemiologist and your emergency preparedness coordinator, our communications manager. So they really are kind of above the individual divisions because the work they do is integrated everywhere below. And then when you get down below, you'll find our 5 divisions. So at the health department, our primary divisions are our environmental health division, our community health division, we have our birth to 5 division, our clinic division, and then business operations. Also in front of you, you each have a guide to services. So this started years ago as an internal document for staff when we would get calls from clients that we had to like transfer or questions that maybe we weren't quite sure of. And so this is a really nice document that outlines all the programs of TCHD per division, and along the way it became an external document. So it also has a phone number of everyone you can contact associated with those individual programs. So Amy is going to talk a little bit more about environmental health, which is included in the guide to services. The format for all the divisions is the same, but we're going to talk a little bit more about environmental health and the work they do around solid waste in the county.
So in that guide to services, we thought we would just do an illustration of environmental health because they are slightly different in that when we get to the finances, we'll talk about one of the special projects we do for you all, and that's to manage the solid waste fund. So there's the health department funds, and then we also manage the solid waste fund, which is really a county fund that we've been delegated to oversee. So in your guide to services, on page 9 starts environmental health. And as you can see, we do a whole lot more than just restaurant inspections. We also look at recycling programs. We work around sewage systems, radon systems. We look at recreational water, every swimming pool that is either attached to some public body, like an apartment building or a hotel. We're in there inspecting that. We also do inspections of tanning and body art studios. So in the summertime, we're out collecting mosquito pools, and we're out looking at what types of ticks are in our community. So we do a variety of programs in environmental health. When I started in public health a little while ago, in 1990, it was interesting. When you would introduce yourself, people thought you were one of 2 things. You were either a nurse or you were a restaurant inspector. But we are so much more than that. I hope you take some time to look through this document and kind of see the variety of programs that we have. I do want to take a second and give a shout out to Caitlin Gerard. She's in the back of the room. She's our director of our community division. One of the assignments per their evaluations this year that all of the managers had was that we asked them to attend a couple county meetings. So she's here tonight to listen to how you deliberate and what type of work you do. We think it's very important that we learn from each other. I won't go through the rest of the divisions, but they're here each in turn where you can kind of look at those different programs. In the very front is that mission, vision, values again, and also our Board of Health. So one of the things that Stacy said I would talk about a little bit is that connection again between the county board and the health department. Our Board of Health is appointed by you all, so if we have an opening, we might suggest a person. If Chairman Grimm thinks that's good, they'll put it on your agendas and you will appoint our members. You always have the Health Services Chairman as a kind of a permanent person on our Board of Health. So there's one of you always there. So Jay Hall is currently the Health Services Chair, and if you would ever have any questions, he's a great conduit to getting information back to us, or questions or concerns. As a referendum health department, that means at one time there was a vote of the people of Tazewell County saying we want a health department and we want to have a levy associated with it. So in other counties, Woodford County was a resolution health department. So just like on your agenda tonight, they were a resolution of the county board, and that's how they were created. So there's different types of health departments in the state of Illinois. If Tazewell County Health Department were ever dissolved, it would have to go back to a vote of the people. They would have to get it on the ballot and then a vote. So it'd be a two-step type process. So just kind of wanted to say that out loud, that there are different types of health departments in the state of Illinois. The slide that's up there, one of our jobs is to make sure we're constantly surveilling the health of the community. Some things there in the pictures at the top there was a recent workshop that we had, bringing in a resource for all of our first responders, was the what was it? Community awareness breakfast. Excuse me, I was going to say talk hop. They just did that this week. So that's that. In the middle is we get out and we actually work with some senior citizens in our Fit and Strong class, and so that's some folks learning how to make sure they're maintaining their mobility and being safe in their home, making sure that they can continue to understand how to get up if they were to fall, and making sure that that is a personal goal of keeping people in place in their homes. Also, the bottom there, we have a great collaboration, and we're lucky in our Tremont facility to have partnership with Extension and their Master Gardeners. They have a very lovely garden in our Tremont campus. It is a jewel for the Master Gardeners. They actually teach out of that garden, and they're expanding this year. They wanted more land, and so Dan, we looked at some land and we decided maybe TCRC might be an idea for them. We've reached out to TCRC and they're gonna give us some of their garden to expand. Also, we've worked, and Stacy reached out to Tremont FFA, and they're gonna put 2 rows of sweet corn in the field below us for all of our families. So creating additional partnerships and trying to get fresh food into our families. So we're in that phase right now where we're looking at new health priorities, and you can read the slides, but we are in that phase where we're working with healthcare and other agencies to determine what our health needs. But one of the things I wanted to make sure that we highlighted was every day on our website, if you go under data and public information, you can see some reports on the left-hand side. One of the things that we had kind of wanted to just show you is, you know, what does this data look like? Which one did we decide? Heart disease, yeah. Let me get down here to heart disease. So as that takes a second and loads, you can start to see what Tazewell County looks like in the area of heart disease. And there's some heat maps in there showing you kind of where the prevalence of heart disease is. So as each of you represent your different sectors in the county, it's really kind of nice to know what the status is of your jurisdiction. And so you can kind of peruse through all of our data and kind of see what that's looking like. We update this constantly, and we're in the process of going through an additional assessment right now. So want to just draw attention to it, but all of those topics on the left-hand side, lung health, Lyme disease, mental health, I think sexually transmitted diseases, respiratory diseases, there's a lot of information there where you can kind of understand the status of your community and be able to browse that really at any time. Okay. So, the fiscal part. I know this is one of the times we interact most closely with the county board. And in our annual report, which we have to statutorily put out every year, we do provide to the public what our finances look like. So in this annual report, same exact chart that I'm showing you here is also a little larger if you get it blown up see better. It describes what our finances look like from year to year and what the mix of things in that year have been. So the one thing I do want to point out is we categorize property taxes in one block, but that's not only property taxes, personal property replacement taxes, those two things combined. So that is not the amount that you're going to see when you look at the levy for the health department, it's those two items combined, okay? So I did want to point that out. But this lets you know a mix from time to time. Usually Mike Harris always asks, how much of your budget's from grants? And this will tell you, every year we'll give you that new snapshot of what that mix looks like for the health department. You can see we did really well at the end of 2023. We were able to have a net income for the year. Most years we're able to succeed with that. Some years we're not. We do have a balance that we maintain, which is well over that 50% still of our fund balance for the county. And so we balance what our needs are with the balance of our fund budget and make sure we're being good stewards of those dollars as we go forward. So from our staff to you, we've kind of coined a new saying, which is Tazewell County Health Department, 2 locations and 1 mission. As we continue to go through growth of kind of having the 2 buildings, whether that be, I'm looking at Mike, looking at you with like how do we deal with 2 buildings and all of the systems and things that occur with that, or how Stacy and I parcel our time out to be between 2 buildings with 2 staff who need to see us. We are trying to maintain and keep our eye on the ball with that one mission of making sure we're here to protect our community. And with that, we'll take any questions if there's time.
I think this was a great presentation. It's so good to see what's going on in this county, and a lot of it's so good. But I want to ask a question. With the new building, with the extra building, it's new to us, how do you think finances will play out with new programs?
So that's a good question. This first year is going to be, and I think I said it at budget time, that this first year we put numbers in there based on the last time we were there from our experience in that building with COVID. As you know, your home electric bill went up, so we're kind of working off some older data. I think this year we're going to remain pretty cautious about how quickly we expand things, just because we need to see where that looks like, and make sure that we're able to bear the building and grow with the building. So that's kind of a non-answer, but it's the truth, which is we need to kind of wait and see what the expenses look like. Each time we add in something, we just signed a contract to get the grass mowed. There's a new expense that we understand, and we'll add and see what that reflects over a year's time.
Has the volume of people coming in beacon office, is that growing?
It is growing. I'd like it to be faster, but I think one of the things that you all talked about when we did our strategic plan is I don't have a lot of money to advertise, right? So I'm kind of relying on word of mouth and social media, which is a smaller climb than billboards and commercials, right? So we are continuing to do that, and we ask each of you to help us with that. Another piece that was in your packet is there's a 2-sider, and it shows you what services are at which building. And when you have constituents ask you about things like, I used to be able to get my immunizations in Tremont. Well, you still can. You just gotta schedule a day there. It's more readily available in Pekin, but you still can do what you could do in Pekin, or in Tremont, still in Tremont, but it's now scheduled. So wanted to provide you that as well. So word of mouth is our best friend, and people telling folks about services that we have.
The dental service, that's a tough one to set up. How's that going?
The Board of Health and I had a discussion about that Monday night. I think the stamps right now with the changes, I don't think it's a secret. I think it did get out in communication to you all. We had quite a cut from one of the grants that was coming through the federal government. We're kind of just holding on for a second and seeing really what finances look like. My concern is as they talk about changes to Medicare and Medicaid, that could impact the ability to even charge for those services. So while I want to go full guns ahead, and if you know me, you know I like yes, not no, this is a time where we have to take slow. I'm not gonna say no, but we have to sure take slow.
Has there been an increase in tuberculosis? Are you seeing an increase in your tests, and particularly maybe at the clinic?
We have had additional TB cases this year. We have always had TB cases. When you look at our history, and you see in here, all the infectious disease columns for the year were put into the annual report. So I'm trying to turn the page and talk at the same time. Tuberculosis in 2022, we had 9 cases, 7 cases in 23, and 12 cases in 24. So we are seeing increases, but it's mainly folks with foreign travel that are some of the jumping cases. It's one of those things, though, that for every case you have to do testing of pretty much everybody that they've been around. And so each of those cases creates lots of work and then lots of follow as you work with that person to go through a medical regimen.
We'll start by saying I appreciate your thoughtfulness in how you're approaching the building, and I made me think of a line that I had been told at one point, that sometimes it's better to go slow to go fast. And so I think that's great. Just following up on Mike's question, are we seeing, is it a lot of newer patients or just a transition?
So newer patients, and we're also seeing families come back to WIC that maybe had struggles with maintaining after the first 6 months. A lot of times families will start out with us for the first 6 months so they can get baby formula and those kind of things, supports. But we're seeing people come back and maintaining their interaction with us for longer, which is gonna help those families. And also folks that are walking in, and honestly, an interesting thing we hadn't really thought of is we have a kind of a needs help place on our website, and people are reaching out and asking how they can access services a little bit more on that venue as well.
Mr. Crawford?
I just want to say, I haven't met you, but welcome. But
Thank you.
I was on the Board of Health around the time of the Civil War, and I was chairman of the Public Health Committee, and I want to tell you something about Amy. Amy is, you can't get more dedicated to public health than Amy. But she also has something that a lot of public health committed professionals don't have. She has an unwillingness to just do whatever is in public health's direction without being safe and secure that that's the right fiscal road to take. She always does that. I think it's an asset that a lot of health people don't have. And that's one of the reasons why you're, as a county board member, always safe with Amy being the executive director of the Tazewell County Health Department. She goes through all that risk mitigation every year. It's not just when there's a new program. She does it every year. She starts from scratch in her budget process, and she figures out what she can afford. She probably even has, knowing her, a backup that if she can get a little more, then this is something else she could do. But that's the way she lives her health life, and her fiscal life every year. And as one board member, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Two quick things. It's Mr. Longfellow, Mr. Showing, and Mr. Glory spent a ton of time helping and working on that facility in Beacon. And if you haven't been out there to see it and see what they've done, I would suggest you go out there and take a trip through it, because they really did a good job with it, and they spent a lot of time. So thank you, gentlemen. I do have one question. with Peoria not, on their landfill, with them not constructing it on time and doing stuff, and now we're gonna be bringing it to us for a while, what does that do to Indian Creek, and what are kind of our expectations and things in the future?
I guess we'll start with we know what's coming, right? We know that they're going to have to be taking, the municipal solid waste from Peoria to most likely Indian Creek. And so we know that's gonna occur. The pieces that we don't know, is the length of that. So that duration is key. Those that worked on just the expansion of Indian Creek know that didn't happen in a day or two, right? It was a couple of years of talking about just an expansion, let alone opening a new landfill. So we have to make sure we're staying in good communication. I've talked to Mike Deliri about making sure, and he is, talking with his counterparts in Peoria and kind of seeing what the discussions look like. There is a certain document, that you all have that's our host agreement, and that was negotiated by the county board. And that's how you get some dollars into the general fund, and then some dollars have to by statutorily be set aside to the fund I said we manage. But there are dollars that go into the general fund that were negotiated in that host agreement. And as part of that host agreement, there's certain rules of play, I guess I'll say, that are negotiated and expected on both parties. And part of that is a length of the service of the landfill, which I wasn't prepared to say the date, but I believe it to be 2031. So far they've been beyond that. Every year, usually in the summer, a subset of the county board, the chairperson, I think Mindy may come, the finance director, and we have a frank discussion with GFL over their finances and their plans and directions for the future. And I think we probably ought to come prepared with some questions this year to make sure that concerns are laid out and we ask for the latest information. I know some of it is agreements and things maybe they can't quite talk about yet. So there is part of that independent thinking we have to do about what those possibilities look like. While it will show an increase in dollars, right, to the general fund, et cetera, because of that municipal solid waste coming here, it will take time off of the availability of that landfill to be open to the public.
Any other questions? Amy and Stacy? Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Catherine, go.
I was just curious, and we can talk more at the health committee meeting in May, but, you don't anticipate any, funding issues coming down with the grants from, like WIC and the other board that I serve on in my community, my top, our meeting last with the director there, that with IDEN and, with like, CSPG and IV and that, what about with WIC and that you have?
So I'm gonna give you more information than you probably want on that. Regular grants are showing up on time, like we're sending in the applications. WIC and some of the federal flow-through dollars are contingent on the federal budget cycle. So while it may bounce through Illinois in July, we are also beholden to the budget that's supposed to be done in October for the federal government. So what has happened just recently, with the funding cut we received, it was just a court order, and one day we had it and one day it was gone. $125,000 approximately will have lost, which affected people. So I've never experienced a time where once you had a contract, it was pretty well, unless there was cause, you could expect that it would be there. But I can't really answer that right now because I've experienced something different.
Amy and Stacy, again, thank you very, very much for your time and welcome. Alright, moving on, may I March 26th and April 10th county board proceedings. Motion by Mr. Hopkins, second by Gaten. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, item up, Mr. Hall, floor is yours.
Yes, call the roll.
Chairman Hall.
Here.
Vice Chair Sin.
Here.
Bowder.
Here.
Hopkins.
Here.
Longfellow.
Here.
Schmidtall.
Here.
Rich Simpson. Here. Stump. Here. You have four.
Okay, I'm gonna call on Libby to explain what this is all about.
This is our deputy administrative contract. We do these, every year. The veterinarian we're using is not changing. This is Dr. Newcomb with Rescue Heart Animal Hospital. All of the contracted services in here are our in-shelter medicine, shelter rotation. They do the in-shelter exams for the animals we have, as well as our emergency services. So the only changes to this contract is we've added some language so that we don't have to renew it every year. It stays in effect until one party wishes to leave the contract. And then we've also updated the prices to match the same new agreement that we granted to the other contract specs as well. So we're not adding, we're not subtracting, we're just renewing and adding some.
Very good.
Motion approved.
Motion approved. Any second? Second, John Hopkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We are in recess.
Thank you very much, and we'll move to our in-place executive committee meeting. Cindy, please call the roll.
Chairman Grimm.
Here.
Vice Chair Harris.
Here.
Crawford.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
Osteen.
Here.
Mennel.
Here.
Mingus.
Here.
Frail. Here. Schneider. Sin.
Here.
You have four.
Thank you very much. New business, may I get a motion to get this on the floor, recommend to approve addition to the project list. Motion by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Crawford. Thank you very much. Mr. Dory, you want to comment?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, in our, a couple months ago, we had approved the listing of projects for our community project funding to request through federal funds. That included 2 projects working with the highway department. We had also gotten awarded $500,000 through this project fund last year. Congressman Lovett had submitted it for a budget request, and we received the funding for $500,000. But through the way that the federal budget was continued this year, it didn't actually include the funding. So it's very unlikely that we would receive that funding. So rather than give priority to the other 2 projects, we want to have this, resubmit this project to have it be our number 1 priority when we submit it for funding, when that, if and when that becomes available.
Any questions from the committee? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much, and we are in recess from executive. All right, moving on to our consent agenda. We're gonna have items 1 and 16 pulled automatically. Is there others? Mr. Mellon? Number 2, is that it? Okay, Mr. 2. Mr. Shaw?
7 and 10.
2, 7, and 10 have been passed. 12. 6. Holy cow. Any others? Did you say something, John? Okay.
Make a motion to approve the other 2. Just kidding. Whatever was left.
That's right, yeah. So it looks like I currently have 1, 2, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 16.
Should 8 be pulled with 7?
Yeah, it should be the same conversation, that's fine.
You want 8 as well?
We can lump them together.
I think we approved them together in the committee.
Okay, number 8 as well then. Alright. May I get a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda? Motion by Mr. Crawford, second by Mr. Joesting. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Alright, on to item number 1, health services. May I get a motion to get this on the floor, please? Motion by Nancy, second by Tammy. This just came out of committee. Is there any questions or discussion regarding it? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Alright, item number 2. May I get a motion to get this on the floor, please? Motion by Mr. Mennel, second by Mr. Mingus. questions regarding it? All those in favor signify by aye. Opposed? On to item number 6. May I please get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Mr. Crawford, second by Mr. Harris. Alright, I'm not sure who pulled this, I'm sorry, Mr. Sim.
Yeah, I had problems opening up the email about tonight's stuff, it just wouldn't open up, so I'm always concerned about this number here, is POAS money or whatever you wanna call it now, sometimes I struggle, I think it's increasing to a point. POAS is generally by number, is by population base, and sometimes I'm wondering if we're paying too much because we don't have very many, in Tazewell County, outside the city, has very little, federal miles and stuff like that, so it's something I just wanna monitor a little bit, so I didn't quite know the number, cause I couldn't open it up, so I'm curious on the number and stuff, and that it doesn't get too high.
Ms. Carr, is that something that you have or anything on?
The description, this, by the way, is a standard resolution. It's a form that IDOT requires us to submit anytime we propose to expend motor fuel tax of the counties. And that's what, that is the type of funding here that is being proposed to use to pay our share. And that's, it's not on? Okay. I'm shorter than I realized, I guess. This allows Tazewell County to be a member of the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, our local metropolitan planning organization, in order to become privy to the types of federal funding that are available and to actually submit projects and compete with the other members. We received probably $5 million of money from POATS that allowed us to do Broadway. So it's quite a return on the money that we expend here. This is actually $100 cheaper than last year, which for the last 5 years it has actually gone up, like Mr. Sin said, but for some miraculous reason it did go down. So in my opinion, it does go up, but it seems to be an equitable share amongst all the larger communities. So, any questions? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All those, Mr. Mendel, I'm sorry.
This allows us to participate in projects like Broadway Road, the proposed Muller Road project, widening project that's, it's probably a couple of years down the way, but we have to belong, and we're represented well by, Dan Parr, Paul Oxberger on the, technical side, and, Russ and myself on the, commission side, so, and this figure is a formula, and so everybody kind of pays their fair share, and I understand Mr. Sims' comments about federal funds, but, we have benefited from this.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, moving on to land use, number 7 and 8. Would somebody like to make a motion to combine those? Mr. Crawford, second by Mr. Hopkins. So we will have these two combined. Mr. Scully, both.
Wait, we need to vote on that.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Now we're combined.
Now they're combined, I'm sorry. Mr. Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I brought this one up, I was in land use when these came up, and thanks to Mr. Helpers for speaking with a little clarity about the project and the marriage of those two community solar projects. That was a bit confusing. I still feel like they're using the law to their advantage, which obviously everybody tries to do that, but we have some concerns. When we're doing a solar project like this, and we're doing it on the edge of town, right next to VFW Road, that's definitely an area that's going to be a strategic plan for Pekin, but also our our strategic plan and vision statement for Tazewell County is for prime farmland to be preserved, and I feel like we're ignoring that. The company that will make this solar farm and manage this solar farm likely will not be the ones that checked all the boxes for ZBA. You know, they promise to have shrubs, they promise to keep the yard nice, but realistically over 20 or 30 years, there could be 3 or 4 management companies that operate with this. So I hope that the neighbors, like the speaker, are satisfied 20 years from now with what we agreed to. And again, just like every time we do a solar project, we agree to this in duress. We have no choice with the state of Illinois and the current law structure. We have no other choice but to accept this project. That's all. Thank you.
All right. May I motion to approve? Vote to approve. I need a motion to approve it. I'm sorry. Motion by Mr. Hall, second by Mr. Josteen. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Aye. Can we get a roll call, please?
Crawford?
No.
Goddard?
Yes.
Graff? Hall?
Yes.
Harris?
No.
Hopkins? Josting?
Yes.
Longfellow?
Yes.
Mennel?
Yes.
Mylum?
Yes.
Mingus? Nelms?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes.
Frail?
No.
Rich Simpson?
No.
Schmidtall?
No.
Schneider? Sen?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Stump?
No.
Woodrow?
No.
Passes. Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to property. May I get a motion to pull item number 10, additional items for the impound building? Motion by Mr. Longfellow, second by Mr. Schmidtall. Thank you very much. All right, I'm not sure who pulled this. Mr. Stahl.
Complaining. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we okayed this one in property, and the project went over budget, and it went over contingency, and as we went through the conversation, it was just, okay, well, we're gonna draw this, we'll make it work at the end of the year. But since then, we've had lots of conversations with constituents about the new Law and Justice Center. Tax bills have gone out, and as I look further down the budget and I see things like the new animal control, and we're going to talk about Law and Justice Center in the future, we have to have conversations with the vendors about going over budget. I don't know where the rubber hits the road. Are we actively involved during the process of the building? Do we hold the vendors to the contracts? But I'm not nearly as friendly now today as I was a week ago about saying, oh well, we'll take care of it. So are we ready to push back? And that's kind of my sentiment today. Thank you.
Yes, just highlight, so this isn't part of the actual contract for the builder of the building, so that is separate. This is an item that the sheriff had discussed that he wanted on the facility long-term for some of those vehicles that he has to keep for a long time, if not permanently, rather than having the building, having it in the fenced area would certainly make more sense. So rather than kind of waiting down the road to do it before we actually get into the facility, we thought it'd make sense to bring it forward now, so that's the reason. It wasn't initially in the budget, but it's something that had been planned for the long term, and separate from the vendor that actually built it.
I think there were some different things that happened during the project that were just unexpected with it. Sheriff, would you like to make any comments or anything about this?
I would.
There was no contingency on this project. The budget was pretty much exactly figured, but there was an issue with power lines that had to be moved. There was an issue with the foundation that couldn't be taken care of like we planned, and that cost about $24,000. The other items, and I don't really like the way that it's put in there as additional items, because they weren't additional. They were planned from the beginning, but they got pushed out because the other issues had taken place. So, it is what it is. It went over because there were unforeseen issues that came up during the construction.
So I'm not quite sure how much pushback we can get on some of them, but I understand your point completely. So, is there any other comments? All right. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you very much. All right. Item number 11. May I get a motion to get this on the floor, please? Vote by Mr. Nelms, second by Mr. Harris. All right. I will report from Mr. Hopkins.
Yeah, I initially had some concern, obviously, with quite a bit over the initial 1.5-ish that we had talked about, and I know being that it's a brand new bill as opposed to, excuse me, trying to retrofit what we've got. Anyone that's been out there and seen our animal control building now would understand that obviously it's one of the biggest needs that we've got for sure in the county. My concern was that the expense, if we would be forced to, like we have, to continue to keep our CIP fund fully funded, if we were to have more, or as we've seen another one tonight that's come up, federal funding that, or state funding that slows, if we were being forced then at the end of the year to put that $2.3 million into the CIP fund, that's not something we would have to do, and so in this case, that made me more comfortable in moving forward with this project. So I just wanted to speak out about that, but I'll be voting yes for it.
Questions regarding it? Mr. Crawford?
Well, I have a question about what he said, but it's not for him, it's for Mindy. I don't understand what he said. So, he said if we can put, do we have to put the money in there like it's not there now? Is all the money in CIP now, or is it not all there now? I thought we had budgeted and we moved it and put it all there. You straighten me out.
Okay, so at the beginning of every fiscal year, we fully fund what all the projects that we have listed in the CIP fund. Listing is in your budget book. So for fiscal year 25, we have funded in the CIP fund $55.1 million. That's what the next 5 years of all projects that we have set aside in the CIP fund, that's what we expect that to cost. And so that is fully funded on the first day of the fiscal year. So I believe what John is talking about is that we essentially are taking some money set aside for a future project that we don't necessarily need in, we won't be spending it in fiscal year 25, because again, the CIP fund is funded for 5 years worth of projects.
Right.
So we're gonna kind of take some money that we're gonna use for a future project. We're gonna go ahead and spend it now because we're spending a little more, or we're spending more on the animal control project than we expected. Then, at the end of this fiscal year, when we do the budget process, we'll determine how much we need in the CIP fund at the end of, well, for the beginning of fiscal year 26, and then we'll, from the general fund, we'll move money over to the CIP fund to fully fund it for whatever that need would be. So we won't do it now. We're just aware that as things, go over budget, come under budget, things get added to the list, get subtracted from the list, that once a year we have to look at everything on the list that's in the CIP fund and make sure it's fully funded. That's what the law requires. Does that answer your question?
So one last one, and maybe this will fix it for me. we didn't have CIP funds when I was auditor. In fact, every fund, would wipe out in terms of balance on November 30th, and then whatever we budgeted for that next ensuing fiscal year, we start again. I always thought CIP wasn't like that. In other words, let's say if you had $50 million and you spent $5, you started with $45 million, not zero.
That's right.
Because you already did
Yeah.
the appropriation.
Yeah.
But do you have to redo the appropriation in the new fiscal budget? Or do you just, it's already there?
Well, there will be a fund balance remaining at the end of fiscal year 25.
Yes.
We'll have to kind of project that to build these projects ongoing. So we'll project what we think the fund balance will be at the end of fiscal year 25. Then we'll look at the listing of all projects and all expenditures we think are gonna happen over the next 5 years out of the CIP fund. Whatever that difference is, then that's the amount of money that will go to fully fund the CIP fund. You are right, there will be millions of dollars in the CIP fund. It's only the difference between what the fund balance is and what we expect to need over the next 5 years. That's what we put in.
You know, what I'm gonna wanna know as a board member, as a fiscally conservative board member, like most board members today here, is if we start trending the wrong way, if we start spending more than we anticipated us spending for those things that we thought were gonna cost a certain amount of money, we need to know, somebody's gotta ring the fire bell for us.
Okay, yes, we would.
Yeah, I know you.
We could take the projects off the list, and therefore we don't have to fund them, correct? We could take them out of the CIP.
Correct, yes.
I'm sorry, can you repeat it? Sorry about that.
You were saying that we have a list of projects
Yes,
and that we have to fund them out of the CIP program, right? Is that what you said?
what I'm saying is anything that is listed in the capital improvement plan that is expected to be paid out of the CIP fund,
We have to fund it.
you have to fund it
But
by
we
the
could
December
take,
month.
we can reduce the list.
You can't,
Yes, okay.
yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any questions? All right, Mr. Longfellow?
Yes, I'm wondering if the property committee, it seems like the property committee got the design and all this on, last property meeting and passed it to us as county board members. I just wanna make sure that they feel like, obviously they passed it to us, they feel like, they were part of it. They realize that it's $2 million over what was expected to be spent, and they feel comfortable with the design build process and the bidding processes. And I was also wondering, I mean, it seemed like design build process was, I don't know. Anyway, I'll just move on. And I also wonder what we're gonna do with the old building. Thank you.
Well, on the old building, it will currently be in use until the new building will be completed as normal. After that, I think we currently have the environmental health building out there as well that's empty, and this one, I think that would come before the property committee to decide what we should do with them or if they're to be repurposed. If the existing animal control building would even be inhabitable for somebody to use, it's pretty bad with the air conditioning and the different things that are in there. Or if it would just need to be taken down, whatever it is, but that would come before the property committee for decisions. Is there anybody else with questions or anything that's what he brought up? Mr. Shaw?
Oh, you asked if anybody on the committee had any questions. Yeah, we had a few because we were only presented PJ Hare's bid, and we wanted to see the others. So that was a concern. Also wondered why Hare was the only one with the metal building. Mike did send out another estimate yesterday, I think, and it looked pretty comprehensive. So I wish we could have seen that before we had a chance to discuss it some more, and maybe even find out if somebody else could have done a metal building, but in the end we didn't get that.
Wasn't that sent out in the agenda for the property?
Yeah, we included the bid report, which included all the prices. With this being a request for proposal, it's not just looking at the lowest price, we're soliciting proposals from vendors. And so, we had some wooden frame structures, but we opened it up to them to decide what would be best. With PJ, they provided, the only vendors provide a metal building, and after the review group had interviews and went through the process, we determined that we felt that the metal building, with the longevity and also with the amount of cleaning that needs to be involved, and the level of detail they go into in reviewing code specifications on the design side of it, that they were the best recommendation.
Mr. Meadow?
Yeah, I think there was 4 bids, right? There were
Yes,
3?
4 vendors, and then PJ did 2 bids.
Okay, and, I believe this is the high bid. And I know there's differences but are we okay legally that we're taking a bid that's way higher than what the next one, I mean, could we have issues with, I mean, have you made sure that we're okay, that one of the other bidders come back and say, hey, this is I just wanna make sure that doesn't become an issue.
Yeah, with the request for proposal, cost certainly needs to be a factor, but there's a lot more that goes into it. So looking at what was actually submitted for it, so what is going to be the best fit for the county and the best long-term value, and having a metal building, we feel as a review group would be the best long-term outcome. And so, with it being a more long-term durable facility, that did increase the cost, but we get a little bit of cost increase now to potentially double the lifespan. So yes, I feel comfortable that this would be the best. This was the recommendation from the group.
I understand that. I'm talking about,
Right.
reports from, the other bidders.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sent a notification to the others, and I haven't heard back negatively, just some wanting a little bit of feedback, and we certainly conveyed why we went somewhere else, but haven't heard any other pushback from them.
In the design build process that we used, there was a tremendous difference between the products that we received in bids. We were very fortunate that we had the bidders that we did that had experience in different areas, but to be able to bring the HVAC was a huge factor in this. The plumbing was a big factor, all the different things like that. So having them being able to bring their experts in, which would then go in for engineering, and have those stamps and all those different approvals as well, that made this pretty clear as to which one was the best for the facility that we're gonna have. So everything is above board, everything is legal, everything, there's no recourse that can come back on for different things.
Yeah, I understand. I just wanna make sure we don't get into issues down the road. I understand it's the best, but
Yep.
the bidding process is, there are things you have to take into consideration.
Mr. Mingus?
Thank you very much. I'm asking, State Attorney Johnson, if you review this procedure as far as the bid, and you're comfortable with this? We did.
Yes. Mr. Crawford?
Was there, how many bids met the metal spec? Was it just the one?
Yes, in the proposal, we just solicited proposals. We did not say that any certain type of building, but on them to propose which building. And PJ was the only company that submitted the metal frame building.
I see. Well, that's what I thought. And when I used to run the bidding and specs process in Tazewell County, we wouldn't usually bid a building either leave it metal or non-metal. That's a major differentiation in terms of cost. So, I don't blame any of the bidders. I question whether we should have left it so wide open. If we would not have left it so wide open, then we would have gone back with one bid, and it would have been probably the amount of the bid we had, and there wouldn't be a problem. So I don't see what went wrong. The only thing, maybe, you know, on Monday morning quarterbacking, which I don't like, but perhaps we could have narrowed the specs before we put out the bid. Thanks.
The advantage by what we did this way was the fact that we took advantage of the years of experience of each one of them, bringing it to us where we didn't have the best answers or the best things to ask. It was basically value engineered, which is the same way that is happening with the Justice Center right now. It's just, it was done the first part as opposed to after the bidding process, and then they bring us the value engineering. They did that to us first, so we were able to save time and be able to get the best prices we can.
Okay.
So,
thanks.
I don't know if anybody has taken a moment to look at the handout we had of roughly our animal intake comparisons on the different counties. Peoria County animal intake is roughly 4,006, Tazewell at 2,100, McLean County at 1,149, Woodford County at 111. McLean County, they've just completed their animal control building, which is about 1,000 square feet larger than what ours is, and it's roughly $7.5 million. They bought it out for it and used some of their ARPA money. So this was a very frugal and well thought out decision on what things going into it before you do it. So just as comparison. Other questions? Mr. Woodruff?
I understand that the PJ here, the metal building would be probably a better alternative as far as longevity. Would not, though, the Blue Deer building at 2.8 million still serve the function probably for all of our lifetime?
No. A lot of the different things, and PJ had also put in a full building, wood frame building as well. They can speak to kind of the differences between them as to why they recommended this. But the balloon years, if you had looked at maybe a comparison of the HVAC, the plumbing, the electric, all the different things that went into it, side by side, I'm sure they would have been right there the same issue, but the things that made up of this bid, the different bids, was so varied and so so much more evident that PJ had planned that it was pretty easy decision on some of this. Would you like them to explain a little bit of the difference of the wood frame and the steel? Okay. Alright, any other questions? Alright. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Alright. Motion passes. On to item number 12. May I get a motion to get this on the floor, please? Motion by Mr. Stahl, second by Mr. Crawford. And I don't remember who brought this up, I'm sorry. Mr. Harris first piece. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Okay. Alright, on to number 16, which came out of executive. May I get a motion to get this on the floor, please? Motion by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Jostein. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Alright, so may I get a motion to bring all the appointments and the reappointments together as one? Motion by Mr. Jostein, second by Mr. Hopkins. Any of these? Alright, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Alright, thank you. There's no unfinished business, new business. We review the approved bills. Got our calendars in our packets. Can I get a motion to approve the calendar? Motion by Mr. Nellens, second by Mr. Stahl. Questions? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. We are in recess 2028.
Good job, Brett.